Stop scrolling. Iran's currency, the rial, just had one of the most catastrophic weeks in its entire history. We're talking about a currency where it now costs you, right now, today, roughly 1.6 to 1.7 million rials to buy a single US dollar on the open market. And the story behind that number? It involves mass protests, record-breaking inflation, Israeli and US airstrikes on Tehran, the death of Iran's supreme leader, and a global oil shock that is now hitting your gas prices here in America. I'm going to break all of it down, before and after the Feb 28 war shock, with the actual numbers. Let's go. Real quick, Iran has two major exchange rates. There's the official government rate, which almost nobody actually uses in daily life. And then there's the free market or open market rate, tracked by sites like Bonbast.com. That's the rate I'm using in this video, because that's what ordinary Iranians and businesses actually experience. Got it? Good. Let's dig in. To understand how bad things are now, you need to know where things already stood. This was already a crisis before a single missile was fired. At the start of January 2026, one US dollar cost around 1,250,000 Iranian rials on the open market. That was already historically terrible. Then protests erupted, starting December 28, 2025, in Tehran's Grand Bazaar. Ordinary people were screaming about food prices, the rial's collapse, and economic despair. By January 27th, Reuters confirmed the rial had crashed to a new record low of 1,500,000 per dollar, a 5% loss in just that 1 month. The country was in the grip of the worst legitimacy crisis for Iran's clerical government since the 1979 revolution. And inflation? Already through the roof. Year-on-year inflation was officially running at 60% for December. Iranian families were cutting meals. Red meat had essentially disappeared from the tables of working-class families. That was the baseline. That was normal before the war. Now, February 28th. This is the date that changed everything. US and Israeli forces launched strikes on Tehran. Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, a man who had ruled Iran for over 3 decades, was killed. Iran's airspace was immediately shut down. Mobile phone services were cut across the country. Panic set in. And the rial? According to BNE and Telenews, citing real-time data from Bonbast, the free market exchange rate crashed to 1,649,500 rials per dollar on February 28th alone. That's nearly 30% weaker than it was just 8 weeks earlier at the start of January. And gold? On the domestic Tehran free market, 1 gram of gold hit 224 million rials. Let that sink in. 224 million rials for 1 gram. Internationally, gold was trading at $5,278 per ounce as panic buying swept global markets. When a country's currency collapses during wartime, people sprint toward gold and dollars. That's exactly what happened. Here's the update as of today, March 2, 2026. According to Bonbast and Alanchand, the open market rate sits at approximately 1,664,000 to 1,679,500 rials per dollar. That's 167,950 Iranian toman. The rial has pulled back slightly from the Feb 28 panic peak, but it remains at historically catastrophic levels. Meanwhile, the war has opened a brand new front for the global economy, the Strait of Hormuz. According to Wikipedia's live crisis page on the 2026 Hormuz crisis, shipping through the strait, which carries roughly 20% of the world's daily oil supply, has been effectively halted. Reuters calls this the biggest oil market crisis in decades. Oil prices surged 8 to 10% when markets opened Monday, Brent crude jumping nearly 10% to around $80 a barrel. Bloomberg Economics is warning that a full Hormuz outage could push oil all the way to $108 per barrel. That means higher gas prices for you, right here in America, starting now. But here's what people keep missing in the headlines. Even before the first bomb dropped, ordinary Iranians were already being crushed by inflation. Iran Wire published the February 2026 inflation numbers, and they are genuinely historic. The Statistical Center of Iran, a government body, reported point-to-point inflation at 68.1%. The central bank put it at 62.2%. Both figures are the highest ever recorded. When a government-controlled agency admits to record-breaking numbers, you know the reality is even worse than what they're saying. The Consumer Price Index jumped 9.4% in a single month, January to February. That's not a year. That's 1 month. And food? Families are paying over 110% more for the same food basket they bought just a year ago. Some items are unbelievable. Cooking oil is up 207% year over year. Bread is up 142%. Meat is up 117%. Dairy and eggs are up 108%. Fruit is up 113%. And wages? According to Iran, wages are rising at a pace 60% lower than food inflation alone. Families are getting poorer every single week. That's not rhetoric, those are government numbers. Behind every percentage point is a real family. BBC reporting describes Iranians cutting meals, removing red meat from their diets entirely, and watching their savings evaporate. One of the most striking details, since the US withdrew from the 2015 nuclear deal back in 2018 and reimposed sanctions, the Iranian Rial has lost more than 95% of its value against the dollar on the open market. Think about that. If you had $10,000 worth of savings in Rials in 2018, those savings would now be worth less than $500 in real purchasing power. And now, with the war, with Khamenei dead, with a succession crisis opening up, with the Strait of Hormuz choked, and with no clear diplomatic path forward, those same families face even deeper uncertainty. The protests that started in December, which the government crushed with what rights groups describe as the deadliest crackdown since 1979, those were sparked entirely by economic pain. That pain hasn't gone away, it's gotten worse. Let me explain the basic mechanism, because it's actually simple once you see it. Step 1. Sanctions cut off Iran from the global financial system. Iran can't easily convert oil earnings into usable currency. Step 2. The government prints more reals to cover spending gaps. More reals in circulation equals each real is worth less. Step 3. War panic hits. Businesses and individuals rush to convert their rial savings into dollars and gold before the rial falls further. That massive demand for foreign currency pushes the rial down even more. Step 4. A weaker rial makes imports, including food, medicine, and industrial goods, more expensive. That feeds directly into inflation. Step 5. Inflation erodes real wages. People get poorer, anger builds, more instability, which weakens the currency further. It's a spiral. And right now, Iran is deep inside it. 3 things I'm watching closely in the next days and weeks. Number 1, does the rial stabilize, or does it blow through 1.75 million again? If Hormuz shipping stays disrupted and fighting continues, a new all-time low is very possible. Number 2, who takes power after Khamenei? Iran's Provisional Governing Council is now managing a succession process. Regime change uncertainty is wildly bearish for any currency. Number 3, oil prices. If Brent crude hits $100 or $108 as Bloomberg Economics warns, that paradoxically could help Iran's government earn more on whatever oil it can still export. But it also means global inflation goes higher, including for Americans at the pump. Note, this section is my own analytical commentary based on current reporting. It is not a prediction. The bottom line, Iran's economy was already in a historic crisis before a single shot was fired in 2026. Inflation at nearly 70%. A rial that had lost 95% of its value over 8 years. Families priced out of bread and cooking oil. And then February 28th happened, and the economic floor fell through. The free market rial is now hovering around 1.6 to 1.7 million per dollar as of today, March 2nd. The war continues. The Strait of Hormuz is choked, and the global economy is feeling the shockwaves. If you found this useful, subscribe, drop a comment. Do you think the rial can stabilize without a ceasefire and major sanctions relief? Because right now, it's hard to see how. I'll be tracking this story daily. See you in the next update. Iran's rial just hit terrifying levels. Start of January, 135 million rials per dollar. January 27, Reuters confirmed 1.5 million, a record. Feb 28, after U.S.-Israeli strikes killed Iran's supreme leader. Bonbast clocked it at 1,749,500 rials per dollar. Today, March the 2nd, it's still hovering around 1.66 to 1.68 million. Inflation in February hit a historic 68% year-on-year. Food costs have literally doubled. Cooking oil is up 207%. And now the Strait of Hormuz, which carries 20% of the world's oil, is effectively shut down. This is what a currency in total freefall looks like. War plus sanctions plus panic equals collapse.